All right. Well, hello, everyone. Brian Zimmerman here, digital content editor for Jazziz magazine. It's good to see you here at the internet's most happening jazz brunch. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, in case you needed a reminder. Sometimes we just do these days. And I don't know about you, but after the eternity that was March 2020, April is just flying by. It's hard to believe it's already April 23rd. But anyway, we are glad you're here with us, that you're taking a break from the Zoom meetings or, cleaning up after your kids or disinfecting your groceries or obsessively checking the news or whatever else it is you're doing to get you through these strange, unprecedented times. And we're happy that you could be here with us for what I'm sure is going to be a great episode. That's because our guest today is a phenomenal young bassist. We're sticking with the bass. Yesterday we had on Mark Egan. Well, we're sticking with the bass. And people, if you think you've heard the acoustic bass before, you haven't heard it until you've heard Petros Klampanis play it. That is our guest. You haven't heard the acoustic bass unless he's there thumping it and scraping it and whistling into it and singing into it and looping it. And he's just doing things with this instrument that I've never seen done before. He has a great new album out called Irrationalities. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about his unique approach to the bass. It is all coming up on today's episode. But first, I'd like to thank some of our sponsors. So we're going to begin with Concord Jazz, this label, great label out of the West Coast. They have an exciting new release coming out tomorrow. Ella 100 live at the Apollo. So this album celebrates the music of the First Lady of Song, Ella Fitzgerald. It was recorded live at the Apollo in Harlem, and it was produced by 8-time Grammy and Emmy Award recipient and former Ella Fitzgerald drummer Greg Field. It features tributes to Ella from the likes of some of the today's top vocalists, including Andra Day, Ledisi, Liz Wright, Cassandra Wilson, Monica Mancini, and it is hosted by the wonderful Patty Austin and the Tony Award nominated actor and singer David Allen Greer. Again, it's coming out tomorrow, April 24th, and on Monday, we're actually going to have Greg on a special edition of Jazz's Daily Brunch to talk about the making of that record. To learn more, visit concord.com. That's where you can find out about that release. We are also brought to you by Blue Sound. So Blue Sound is an award-winning wireless high-res sound system that lets you play music in any and every room throughout your home. You know the kind of system we're talking about. You got your coffee in the kitchen. You're listening to Miles Davis. You want to walk into the living room, maybe read a copy of our latest Jazz's print issue on Charlie Parker, put on a little bird. All you got to do is hook up your favorite streaming service to the free Blue OS app, connect it to these smart speakers, and you're off and running, getting the kind of crisp and detailed sound that only an audiophile grade system can deliver. Has never been easier. Some products that Jazz's viewers might enjoy: the Node 2i wireless multi-room high-res streamer and the Pulse Soundbar 2i wireless streaming multi-room sound system. You can learn more at bluesound.com or by visiting our website, jazziz.com, where we have put together a Blue Sound buyer's guide. All right. With that, I would like to welcome my very special guest. Everybody, please say hello to Petros Klampanis. Hey, man. Hey, Petros.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm in Athens right now.
Okay, right. Athens, Greece.
Great.
Yep. We should mention Athens, Greece.
Today.
All right. Connection's a little shaky, but hopefully that'll sort itself out. You're kind of frozen, but fortunately, you're pleasing to look at, Petros. Can you still hear us?
You should.
Let's see. Coming in and out.
It's kind of.
It is kind of slow. All right, we can hear you now. We should mention Petros is, we can hear you. Petros is coming to us from Athens, Greece. He is from Greece. And you got us now, Petros?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you again for joining us for the brunch. I've got my coffee with me. How's the coffee culture in Greece? You guys drink the heavy duty stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. We have this, we call it Greek coffee, and it's exactly the same coffee that Turkish people call Turkish coffee.
Right.
And Arabs call it, it's kind of coffee that, once you drink it, you're good for cappuccino and espresso and stuff like that.
Yeah. You're up for 3 days. Hey, man, I see we've got your bass behind you. And as I mentioned in the intro, you do things with the bass that I've never seen before, just the way you utilize the entire instrument to make music. Would you mind if we started with a little song?
Sure, let's do it. I would like to play an arrangement of Poinciana that I just came up with last week, and I'd like to play for you.
Beautiful. Yeah, man. Yeah, Petros. Beautiful, dude.
I don't know how the sound is. I hope
Well,
it was okay
musically, you
to be
sounded
heard.
great, man. We're having some connection issues, so it's a little clicky and poppy. But so what we may do is switch you to audio only, at least while we talk, and then
Okay.
maybe while you
Okay.
perform, we can show some video. But go ahead, if you can click, there's a little button that says "Stop Cam" on your screen. Then we'll just get that crisp, clear audio only.
Okay. So I will switch it off.
All right. So we are again talking to Petros Klampanis. You there on the line, brother?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, now you sound great. And again, folks watching, much better looking than that white circle would suggest. You just played a beautiful arrangement of Poinciana, classic Ahmad Jamal associated tune. And, this is what I love about your playing. You really kind of take advantage of the entire bass, the percussive aspect of it. We saw you kind of thumping on the back of it, clicking your fingers against it. The overtones playing up near the top of the neck, stomping with your foot. Have you always thought about performing the bass this way, as an instrument that you can bang on and, tap and whistle into, in addition to just playing it the standard way? Or was this something relatively new for you?
I guess I started discovering this, kind of alternative potential of the instrument. The more I was getting into it, of course, I admire its kind of mainstream function and sounds, and I love the tradition of the instrument itself. But I feel that double bass is it's like an unexplored territory, and there's so much to it. There's so much potential from the harmonics or harmonic, the double stops or chords that you can play on the instrument or percussive sounds, and I got to discover it as soon as I got my first looper, basically. So in order to create a satisfying arrangement, I had to go out of the mainstream, let's say, way. So I try to see how I can produce different frequencies and sound like more instruments, like sound like a percussion, try to sound like a harmonic instrument, like a guitar or a piano. So yeah, this started happening, I guess, around 15 years ago. And slowly I developed that to my solo project, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, your solo bass playing is really astounding. You mentioned the looper. That's something where you do, record yourself on loop and add to it, kind of like a mosaic. I'm wondering, did any of that need to, tap into the percussive and harmonic aspects of the instrument come from your background? You were born in Greece, and I understand the region you were born in has a strong musical background. Is that the case? A strong musical culture there?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in an island called Zakynthos, it's a very small island in the west of Greece.
Okay.
And it was influenced by the Western music because it was under Italian occupation for a long time. So the music from my hometown, it's very Western in a way. Many people are into music. They sing or they play mandolin or guitar, and music is indeed a big part of the tradition of the island. So I was lucky to experience that as a kid. I was part of a choir since I was very young and started playing the guitar. So I started with a completely different instruments, completely different musical tradition than jazz and double bass. So I guess these first musical experiences had found somehow their way back through the bass.
And when did the
because
bass
I
enter
feel
the?
that that's what happens eventually.
Yeah, yeah. When did the bass enter
So
the equation for you? At what age did you start playing?
when I was 15 years
Mm,
old,
okay.
the first bass in my life was an electric instrument. That happened after a rock concert, and I started playing the piano since I was a kid.
Right.
And when I was a teenager, I wanted something different, so electric bass was an obvious choice for me, especially the fretless bass, the Jaco Pastorius, Gary Willis kind of sound
That
was
sound
really
very
attractive.
fluid. Yeah.
And that was my first bass stop, let's say.
Very cool, man. Yeah, it's always so striking to me. I love Balkan jazz. I love Balkan music, music from the Balkan region. And it's kind of impressive the level of popularity that Balkan jazz has achieved of late. Um, do you recall, when, I mean, you would know better than I would, the history of jazz in that region and when in that region and when it first kind of took root? And then I'm also wondering if there are any obvious overlaps between Balkan music and jazz that made it so successful there.
Yeah, I had a little bit of trouble hearing the whole thing. Can you please repeat a part of it? We're talking about Balkan music and jazz, right?
Yeah. And I guess we'll just start with, are there any overlap? Did you see any overlap between traditional Balkan music and jazz that made them, just come together so seamlessly?
You mean the two traditions, how
Yes.
they get combined?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's the aspect of improvisation. Improvisation is very big aspect of the Balkan music. Clarinet players improvise amazingly. The Ottoman also music is the improvisation in Ottoman music is also very important. So I think that's the link between these two very different styles of music that in their core I think that they're very similar. Pentatonic scale also is very big in Balkan tradition in Epirus, which is a very famous part of Greece and Albania. Epirus, where supposedly that's where the music there is so rich. And I invite all the listeners to check out music from Epirus. Actually, it's
Okay.
really beautiful, and I think they're gonna be associated because in a way it sounds like the blues. It's a very sentimental, emotional music, and the role of pentatonic scale is very dominant.
Oh, interesting. Amazing how that seems to find its way all over the world, just music from the soul, sentimental music that uses the pentatonic scale, which is a basic building block of music. So that's very cool, man. Hey, I wanted to talk a bit about your new album, Irrationalities. Oh, Jeff has gone ahead and pulled up something very cool. Hey, go ahead and pause that, Jeff, and we can talk about this. So as you could see, Petros, Jeff has gone ahead and pulled up a video of your rooftop stories, which are really so entertaining to watch. We had Nick Finzer, the trombonist, on our program a few days ago, and I really applauded him on his ability to utilize video. As a modern musician, video is important. This is how people are consuming music and content now, and being able to put out a good video and tell a good story is essential. Your rooftop stories are very cool. It's you travel to cities, and it's a simple premise. You play solo up on the roof. We are sharing here one from London now. And each episode is kind of like a little travelogue. It's like Anthony Bourdain meets jazz. You kind of show some vignettes from the city, before you play up on the roof. And as you're up on the roof, you get a nice shot of the skyline. You really get a feel for the city. It's a wonderful thing you're doing, very immersive. Go ahead and play a little bit of this, Jeff. Can't play any audio because it's on YouTube, unfortunately, but this is the one where we get to see Petros literally lugging his bass out the window. And this was in London. And then we come to Petros up on the roof. So Petros, as this thing rolls, man, what made you want to start doing this video series of rooftop stories?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
How did the idea for the rooftop stories come together?
Well, it came from a certain time in my life that I started traveling like non-stop. So I found that committing to a project that combines music and traveling was the most, obvious and honest way to go. So yeah, that's how Rooftop Stories came together. And as you say, it's I pick a tune that somehow associates to a city that I visit, and then if I'm lucky, I get to find a cool cinematographer, like I did in London. Dimitris Labridis is a Greek guy, amazing cinematographer, and we shot this one. And we have done one in Havana, one in Japan, in Tel Aviv, in Athens, and it's actually an ongoing project. So when I find a place that I like and cinematographer in the city, then I just go for it.
Cool, man. Yeah, you're extremely well traveled. You have played all over. Do you find that some cities are more receptive to jazz? Where in all your travels do you think you found audiences that are just really, really passionate for this music?
Japan, of course. It's really, the audience there, it's amazing. Germany is very passionate about music, and people are very, educated because of the classical tradition there. So people can really appreciate music in a deep level. And I think also in Greece, maybe the fact that I'm here also affects my experience as a performer. But I feel that jazz music and non mainstream music is gaining.
Oh, we're losing you a bit there, Petros. All right, Petros, we may have lost you. The tin cans that we're using to conduct this interview across the Adriatic Sea may have finally given out on us. All right, well, we will try to see if we can get Petros on in a bit. Maybe we'll come back this afternoon. Petros.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, all right. Hey, live TV, everyone.
Yes.
You are back. Well, we can quickly talk, like I say, before we lose signal again, about the new album Irrationalities, because it's a fantastic album. That music is really beautiful. Finds you in a little bit of a different vein of what we're used to. You've written for strings in the past, and your string arrangements are gorgeous. You have done a lot of solo work and a lot of looping, as we mentioned in the past. This finds you in a trio setting. It's more or less acoustic. Not so much looping. It's just, real-time compositions. I'm curious as to the title, Irrationalities, and what you meant by it from a creative perspective. Why name the album Irrationalities?
Well, this title is related to some personal events around 2016, and also the political scene in the States and also in Middle East during this time. I felt that personally I was kind of in a strange place. I don't want to go very deeply there, but I feel that maybe everybody has a similar experience, that life is making circles, and there is a point in life that things do not really make sense, and you have to reinvent yourself or your opinions and your perspective. So that's what this album kind of depicts musically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you working with two musicians who are, at least when I'm listening to you, they're new to your ensemble. I know of your work with Gilad Hexelman and the amazing pianist, Jean-Michel Pilk. So, and who's the personnel on the new album? Your trio mates.
The personnel of Irrationalities is Bodek Janke.
We lost you again, Petros. Ladies and gentlemen, we may have to. Let's see. Oh, here
we met
in and out
years ago.
Okay.
And piano player. Can you hear me?
It's really, really choppy, man. What we may have to do is wrap up. We're coming on a half an hour anyway. What we may have to do is wrap up, try to establish a better connection, and then maybe come back at a different time, if that's cool with you, because I think even from the little taste that people were able to get from your bass playing, they could tell that we were talking to somebody special. And I do encourage everyone, no matter your connection, to go out and watch some of Petros's Rooftop Stories, to go out and buy his new album, Irrationalities, and just visit him online, because he's a very cool dude. And when his connection is stronger, maybe we'll be able to talk to him again. Petros, does that work for you?
Totally. I will try to, I don't know, get a better connection next time.
Hey, well, yeah, we'll see what we can do. And hopefully sometime soon, we'll just be able to see you in person or something like that. But hey, man, Petros, thanks for coming on. We're going to shoot you backstage. And like I say, maybe try to rejigger this connection, see you again at a later time. In the meantime, I'm just going to wrap up here, folks, and tell you what's coming up next on the program. But Petros, as always, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, connection issues. What can you do? This is live TV. But I hope you enjoyed even that brief glimmer in just of frames of what Petros can do on the bass. He is a incredible talent. And as I mentioned, you may have thought you've heard the acoustic stand-up bass before, but you ain't heard it until Petros has played it. Coming up next for us on the program, again, connection issues pending, we have got Jeff Coffin, the multi-instrumentalist, saxophonist, former Bela Flecktone, former David Matthews Band, horn player. So tell all your DMB fans that Jeff Coffin is going to be on the show tomorrow. The following week, we've got another nice lineup for you. We are going to be starting things off with Jimmy Haslip in the morning, and then a special edition of Jazziz Brunch featuring Greg Field at night. Boney James on Tuesday, the 28th. Wednesday, the 29th, we got Rudresh Mahanthapa. He's up at Princeton running the jazz program up there. Thursday, we've got John Regan. That's Thursday, April 30th. And then May 1st, we are kicking the month of May off with Delfio Marsalis. So that's going to be a really special episode too. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed this very short appetizer of a Jazziz Brunch, and maybe we'll see you again with Petros very soon. I want to thank two more sponsors real quickly, those being Mac Avenue Records. They've got some really nice albums out right now, one by the pianist Connie Hahn, another by the pianist Christian Sands, not to mention an Errol Garner reissue, and a great new album called Oscar with Love. They got a 5 LP deluxe edition out right now. Check out macavenue.com to learn more. And thanks also to Smoke Sessions Records. So they got a new album by Wayne Escoffrey out right now called The Humble Warrior, with cats like Randy Brecker on it, David Gilmour, Ugano Kegwo on bass, Ralph Peterson on drums. Really, really nice stuff. And yeah, check them out at smokesessions.com. They've also got a club in Upper Manhattan, Smoke Jazz Club. When all this is said and done, you can catch me there quite often. Every time in New York, I'd like to go. All right, everyone. Thanks again for this brief brunch. It was great seeing you, and I will see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Can't wait. So long, everyone. Bye.